T-minus 21 seconds, and the solid rocket booster engine gimbal now underway. T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
Now controlling. Roger, roll, Challenger. Good roll program confirmed. Challenger now heading downrange. Engines beginning throttling down now at 94%. Normal throttles for most of the flight, 104%. We'll throttle down to 65% shortly. Engines at 65%, 3 engines running normally, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good APUs. Velocity 2,257 feet per second. Altitude 4.3 nautical miles, downrange distance 3 nautical miles.
So the 25th Space Shuttle mission is now on the way after more delays than NASA cares to count. This morning it looked as though they were not going to be able to get off.
1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Looks like a couple of the solid rocket boosters blew away from the side of the shuttle in an explosion.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction. We have no downlink.
We're awaiting word. They're holding their breath just, I'm sure, as everyone else is. You saw it just a few moments ago, about 45 seconds after liftoff, a huge fireball in the sky.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. Flight director confirms that. We are looking at checking with the recovery forces to see what can be done at this point. Contingency procedures are in effect. We will report more as we have information available. Again, to repeat, we have a report relayed through the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. We are now looking at all the contingency operations and awaiting word from any recovery forces in the downrange field.
In what appears to be a major catastrophe in America's space program, Challenger, only seconds after leaving the launch pad, according to NASA, has exploded in midair. No word yet on if there are any survivors.
Velocity 2,257 feet per second. Altitude.
This is raw, unedited video, just sent via satellite.
Challenger, go with throttle up.
And right when he says going to throttle up, that's seconds after that. That's when the explosion happens. Now understand, this is very important and key to this follow-up video, is you're going to understand that all the supposed VIPs, they know what just supposedly happened.
90 seconds and counting. The 51L mission ready to go.
In Los Angeles, where it is 3 hours earlier than
This is a special report
Coming
from
up
Channel
on
4
the
News.
32nd point in our
Good morning,
countdown.
I'm Ken Shocknick, and Space Shuttle Challenger is just a few seconds away from blasting off from the Kennedy Space Center near Cape Canaveral, Florida. Let's take a look right now.
7, 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
Solid rocket boosters
the
kicking in.
25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
This shuttle mission will launch, my God,
1 minute 15
there's been an explosion.
Velocity 2,900 feet per second, altitude 9 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
This is not standard. This is not something that is planned, of course. I can see a solid rocket booster has broken away from Shuttle Challenger. That's what you're looking at in the middle of your screen. I cannot see the shuttle itself.
There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
And at one point I asked him, I said, man, you guys, you lied about a lot, didn't you? And instantly he said, no, we didn't lie about certain things, we lied about everything.
They heard what happened, they saw the explosion, and way after the fact, you're going to see them still smiling, cracking, smiles with each other, laughing, giggling. And just take a look at how clear it is that these are nothing more than hand-picked crisis actors, and how the supposed family members and VIPs, certain ones are spotlighted, and you can see them clearly smiling and laughing, like I said. It just happened. You hear some people screaming. Okay, you hear them screaming. They know, they've seen the explosion. They know what's going on. So make that crystal clear. When you see them laughing and smiling later on, it's not because you're confused. It's because they're crisis actors and they think the scene's over. They don't know the cameras are still on them. You hear the people screaming in the back. These actors. And again, no confusion of what supposedly is taking place. Nothing more than a large firework that went off with this supposed shuttle explosion. And they know it.
Picture you were just seeing is Christy McCullough's parents watching in horror. These are the students.
See the little kid pointing up, smiling.
From her school.
Right here, another person is smiling. Again, they know they're going to be on camera, but they can't help cracking that smile. You see this smile? You see this look? This is not someone that's in horror of what they just saw. Same with this lady up here. Look at that big smile. This is not from squinting at the sky, like someone claimed in my previous video. This is a smile. Now she goes in acting gear. And this guy here.
Many of them probably had their view blocked just
again,
as we did with the television cameras.
You should get an award.
A huge fireball and a huge cloud of smoke. They may not realize yet what has happened.
Covering up. He's covering up for the people that he's seen on his monitor smiling. You heard the screaming from some of the actors. Some of the actors knew their key, knew what to do. And others, they didn't have a clue of how to act and knowing the camera was spotlighted on them.
You see concern etched on their faces. The breath that they've been holding released. And then the realization
now she's acting.
That something is...
Came apart. From the stage, came apart.
Clearly, a firework.
At that point, all that remained was...
Flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. Our director confirms that. We're looking at checking with the recovery.
They're telling everybody, all the crisis actors, you need to get on the buses. Your job is done for the day. Hear that again. Get on the buses.
Our director confirms that. We're looking at checking with the recovery
On the buses.
What can be done at this point.
Now, everybody is supposedly aware of what took place. The shuttle supposedly exploded with people on board, and now this is where it all starts. Acting, knowing the camera will be on them. But here's the problem. Here's where the smiling starts again. Clear. No screen-o-matic in the way this time. It's going to be lower, hopefully, with this recording. I want to stop at this particular moment, at this still, when these two crisis actors take a look at each other. They know, of course, it's all a hoax. They can't help kind of like give that smile to each other, like a nod, like, you know, we're in on this type of thing. Right there. There you go again. Right there. What is this? Robbie Parker's dad? Ha! What a joke.
Edward and Grace Corrigan. They're about
Go back. See,
miles away
the reason they took the camera off them because they saw them smiling when they shouldn't have. Right there. Looking at each other, smiling, giggling, because they know it was nothing more than a fireworks show. They did not lose their daughter. Bogus. Right there. People can't see this? You're in denial. Period. Again, Robbie Parker's dad. Complete joke. Now, as far as these astronauts and this pyramid worship, this capsule is nothing more than a pyramid that they're praying to. All these Masons involved in the game. And the supposed astronaut that was killed during that supposed disaster. Look at this monument they made for her. And of course the pyramid structure in the back. Freemasons that control, that run this world, control NASA, control our entire society.
In 1986, the Shuttle Challenger exploded about 74 seconds after takeoff, killing all 7 astronauts inside. Or did it? It turns out that 6 of the 7 are still alive and kicking today. Ellison Onizuka claims to be his identical twin brother, Claude. Yeah, I've got an identical twin brother, Claude, too. The Challenger pilot, Mickey Smith, hasn't even bothered changing his name. He's now Professor Michael J. Smith of University of Wisconsin. Now, Krista McAuliffe was a bit of a sneaky one. She was the Challenger payload specialist, quite famous for being a teacher. It turns out during her astronaut days she was using her middle name, Krista. and now she goes by her first name, Sharon, and she's a Syracuse law professor. The Challenger commander, Francis Richard Scobie, is now Dick Scobie, which sounds like a rather unpleasant disease, the CEO of Cows in Trees Limited. Judith Resnick, the Challenger mission specialist, again hasn't even bothered changing her name. She's a professor at Yale Law. And finally, Ronald McNair, another Challenger mission specialist, claims to be his identical twin brother, Carl McNair. What are the odds? Carl McNair. What are the odds?
Part of the team, even though she was not a trained astronaut.
She knows where we're going to be standing, how busy it's going to be, where she can help, where we need our space. And she has learned an awful lot and become a team
weird lady with scale and swords and blindfolds, or Grecian goddess, or warrior princess, or whatever it is. What makes it legible? And so one of the questions in the book is to puzzle about both its history and the legibility of this, which is a marker, and of course, this local county court.
Welcome to Feed Your Mind. From 1986, well, you just saw live footage of it blowing up and the astronauts dying. And I even have statements from NASA on how the crew died. If you go to NASA's website, nasa.gov, you will be able to look up an article called Remembering the Challenger Crew. And it was last updated just in 2015, actually. And they'll provide you the evidence that the crew died. And it says that the NASA family lost 7 of its own on the morning of January 28th, 1986, when a booster engine failed, causing the Shuttle Challenger to break apart just 73 seconds after launch. And then it goes on to name off the members of the space shuttle who died. And you can see their faces and their names. And then you match that up with the faces and names that people have found recently. And they've discovered pretty much the whole crew. So now we have NASA confirmation that the crew has died, and yet we have the evidence that the crew is still alive. So you might ask yourself, what was actually going on there? And it's quite obvious that nobody rides on space shuttles.
right before the launch, Božely repeated his warning.
But with the previous shuttle having just set a record for delays, NASA's leaders were impatient.
Božely's bosses told NASA the O-ring evidence in the memo was inconclusive. Challenger's launch was ordered. A puff of black smoke at liftoff was the ominous sign that Božely was right. The O-rings had already failed. The smoke appeared when they burned. After a few seconds, a jet of flame appeared. A post-accident report by NASA described it with passionless precision.
The plume is seen here impinging directly onto the surface of the external tank and the lower aft strut at 60.248 seconds.
The sideways flame burned like a welder's torch through the gap left by the blown O-rings. It pierced the giant orange fuel tank, and fuel began streaming out. Still, no one knew anything was wrong. Not until Challenger, its astronauts, and its teacher in space had flown for 73 seconds.
At 73.191 seconds, a flash was observed between the ET and orbiter that was immediately followed by the start of total vehicle breakup at 73.213 seconds. During the next 100 milliseconds, additional flashes occur in the SRB forward attach area. As the ET broke up, the released fluids vaporized rapidly, producing an expanding cloud of gases, vapors, and cryogenic fluid with embedded debris and localized combustion of mixed gases. No shock wave or other evidence of a violent explosion was detected in the imagery. Illumination from a combination of SRB plume radiance, reflected sunlight, and peripheral burning of gases gives the cloud the appearance of a fireball. By 73.6 seconds, the main engines were in automatic shutdown mode as a result of reduced propellant pressures. The last telemetry from Challenger was received 73.618 seconds after launch. The actual vehicle breakup was essentially obscured from view by the vapor cloud which abruptly enveloped the vehicle. Hundreds of fragments were noted exiting the ET cloud. Those identified included the shuttle main engines, the left wing, crew cabin, and both SRBs.
What was happening to the crew at this moment? They were still alive.
Challenge is fast. Launch is fast. It's bang, and then it's a 2-minute ride down. And you're conscious, we know that.
Astronaut Story Musgrave told me the crew survived in that white cloud. It was Challenger's fuel tank that exploded. The shuttle itself just broke apart. The crew compartment with its 7 living occupants was intact.
The initial path of the crew cabin from the vapor cloud carried it across the path of an adjacent contrail, clearly revealing its truncate form and attitude. The left wing became visible at 78.531 seconds. The main engines and crew cabin are also identifiable.
It took 2 minutes and 45 seconds for the crew cabin to hit the water. The impact speed was 207 miles an hour. A NASA statement released after the accident reads, "The forces to which the crew were exposed during orbiter breakup were probably not sufficient to cause death or serious injury." And later, NASA is unable to determine positively the cause of death of the Challenger astronauts, but has established that it is possible but not certain that the loss of consciousness did occur in the seconds following the orbiter breakup. Musgrave, who is a medical doctor and surgeon, is quite certain.
You died when you hit the water. You know that.
You think so? That's always been controversial.
I don't know, sir. There's nothing controversial about that. No. It's hard evidence. Yeah, you died when you hit the water.
At the bottom of the ocean, investigators found that some of the crew's emergency oxygen masks had been turned on. Said another astronaut, Scobie fought for any and every edge to survive. He flew that ship without wings all the way down. They were alive.
You could have lost consciousness at that altitude if it depressurized for a little while, but then, no, there's all kinds of evidence that you died when you hit the water.
Hey there. Hey, sorry to bother you. I was pulling out and I saw you. I just came by to... Are you Michael Smith?
Yeah.
Professor at university?
Retired.
Retired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just stopped by because there's this room... Are you aware of that there's a rumor on the internet?
It's not me.
That people are saying...
Yeah, it's not me, obviously. I mean, anybody that looks at my background, looks where I was born... It's not me. I mean, it's interesting that the Michael J. Smith, that was the astronaut, looks something like me when we were younger, but really not, if you really look at facial recognition.
You never been a pilot, never been in the military?
Nothing like that.
Huh.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I don't respond to the emails I get. I get probably an email, maybe 2 a month.
Really?
Yeah, and I got one guy that's been really hounding me, and I turned it over to the FBI.
Really?
You know, yeah, I mean, it's bullshit.
Okay.
You know, another crazy theory.
Okay.
But that's, you know, not me.
All right,
I'm glad I wasn't him, but he's quite a guy.
Yeah.
You know, but if you look at my career, you look at my CV that's online, all the stuff I've published, all that I've done, it's not even close to what that guy was.
Okay. Yeah, you just sure look a lot. It's the same name.
I know the facial thing, but that's what we looked like, what, 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting you came all out here.
I did. I drove an hour. It's, I mean.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Well, take care.
Yes.